Welcome to RPG with DBJ. And today we are going to continue our world building series with weather and geology. Yeah, today we're going to talk about crevices, crags, mountains, and broken landscape, earthquakes, and all things earth related. And we're going to build a world based around such environments. Join us. So, welcome to the show. If this is your first time here, thank you very much for being here. For all of us, all of you long timers, thank you as well for just putting up with my shenanigans. So, today we're going to let's get a little bit a better environment back here. Um, Today we are going to build with the intent of having a world shaped by all of the earthen landscapes we can think of, especially earthquakes, and what it means to have the ground move and shake and deform itself in our world building. Now, I understand because I put weather as our defining feature, and then I was like, well, earthquake question mark, geology question mark, not necessarily weather, but it is a well, thank you very much, Drew. It is a natural occurring event, and many of these things that happen around our world are these natural occurrences and events and such, shape who we are. And as a matter of fact, no matter where we live, we can always point out other people who live other places and go, oh, I could never live in that region, whether it's monsoons or hurricanes, tornadoes, torrential rain, uh, places that have no rainfall whatsoever, the hottest places on the earth, the coldest places, the places below sea level and the highest, and so on and so forth. Here in the States, we love to have ourselves our seasonal, semi-seasonal wildfires. They happen around the world. Mind you, most of these weather events happen around the world, but those of us here in the States, depending on which region you live in, you get a little bit of all of that. Floodplains and things of that nature. So I'd like to talk about, I've never, this is a good morning, have you ever been in an earthquake? Never been in an earthquake. Now, let me put an asterisk next to that. Here in the Ohio Valley, we have fracking, and I we've had minor yet significant disturbances, earthquakes. If the earth shakes, it's an earthquake, whether it's man-made related or not. And wasn't sure whether it was one, and found out that it was real, but I thought it was vertigo. So I think maybe I felt it. But here in Ohio Valley, we've had fracking going on for quite some time. Fracking is not just a different way of cussing. uh, it is I believe, in a layman's terms, it's the act of forcing chemicals and other fluids down into the earth, into crevices to get it to shift so that you can get access to difficult to reach pockets of petroleum product, oil, and things like that, to turn it into fuel and other petroleum products. I believe that's what it is. I'm not looking it up. You guys could do that. So I also want to acknowledge that earthquakes and other events like it are related to other natural events. So we know that earthquakes more often than not happen because of tectonic plate shifting, but as I start to talk about other features of the earth, it happens through erosion and time, uh, whether it's due to rainfall or winds or what's the ice effect? Glaciers and things like that. So I do understand that all of the side effects of the earth we're going to talk about happen due to other things. And of course, we can have that in our worlds as well. Why not? Why the hell not? Shai says, yeah, these Midwest quakes, Ohio Valley earthquakes that nobody can feel. Oh, you actually felt it? I thought I did. There was some minor tremor in Michigan back in 1987, but it was really too small for anybody to feel. This happened in mid 2000s, I want to say. Let's see. I'm going to find quakes in. Let's see if I can find it. This is an AI overview. Yes, fracking has caused earthquakes in Ohio, and I'm sure, of course, it doesn't stop at borders because we here in Ohio, we've been always been fighting over Toledo as in terms of like trying to kick Toledo out. But yeah, a hydraulic fracturing well in March 2014. Well in Ohio triggered a series of small earthquakes, including one magnitude 3 quake. The shaking stopped after the well was shut down. Youngstown, Ohio, a study found that fracking caused 109 earthquakes in Youngstown, with the strongest being a magnitude 3.9 quake on December 31st, 2011. In a paper published 5 January in the Bulletin of the Seismological Society of America, researchers report that fracking was most likely the cause of 3.0 local magnitude earthquake, as well as 77 newly found much smaller quakes, which were not felt by the area's residents, that occurred in the previous week. Yeah, Ohio earthquake directly tied to fracking. EOS.org. But anyway, a matter of fact, we could use that as a. I'm being sarcastic over Toledo. It was the fight over Toledo, not to keep it, but to kick it, to get rid of it. Yeah, no. It's sarcasm. Um, in real life, there were battles between Ohio and Michigan about Toledo, and yeah, now it doesn't mean anything. Now, in terms of broken earth and earthen landscapes and things of that nature, I'm thinking of the Grand Canyon and the classic um, not Midwest, the classic country western landscapes that we see across like New Mexico and Nevada and such like this. Let's see, Grand Canyon. I'm gonna try to get some images up here, and then maybe, oh, what's the other region? What are they called? Mesas, Plateaus. I'm trying to think of some other geological features, um, and a world that's based around these geological features. Now, it doesn't mean that like glaciers and erosion haven't happened. Yeah, it's like the fight where they fired like 8 shots. I think historically that was it too. Yeah. Drew, call up the old. Yeah, it's actually the graboids from Tremors, but they don't want you to know. What were there, four or five Tremors movies? Comedy, adventure. I guess semi apocalyptic things. Yeah. I think the uh, I think many. The reason why I brought up weather, of course, like I said, I was inspired by Brandon Sanderson, but I also think that we as human beings are intrigued by uh, the the grandeur of nature and what it does, and being reminded that we are a small pebble in a huge pond or ocean and whatnot. And for me, I love the idea. I love the idea of these grand landscapes and figuring out how society would even operate in such a place. Now, of course, locally, people have lived in such places for very long amounts of time and such, right? For example, like something that I'll probably never do is you can take like a um, mule or donkey train down into the depths of the Grand Canyon, and they have uh, excellent goats as well. Goats, rams, whatever they are, have very high levels of balance in going down these natural, narrow switchbacks to get down into the valleys in the Grand Canyon. No, thank you. No, thank you. As much as the lazy animals probably have been doing these things for generations, very instinctual, but it would just scare the shit out of me with no handrails. Oh my goodness, heights. Ooh, no, thank you. But there are features. See if I can find. See if I. I'm gonna go here. I tend not to go to. I don't want to go to places that are too bizarre, but I am on rei.com. Please, no pop ups. Please, please, please. Let's see. No, no, no. I want some images. Okay, here's one. There's some geological. Um, I want to call them like stratified rock that really amazes me. And let's share this image out here as well. Uh, these passageways, I mean, the bottom filled with sand, and you can see the striations on the rock. And I think these are excellent, both visually excellent for me, just because I'm a visual person. And to navigate these environments is such a what would live down there, who would live down in these places, and maybe it's necessary. Like, for example, how the earth is shaped, like I mentioned about basically earth. It's essentially it's like earth, air, fire, and water shaping the earth itself, right? The earth starts to shift and move like earthquakes because of tectonic plate positioning. And then of course the air, as long as wind and air will erode things away, water and ice will erode rock. And of course fire, lava, of course, creates more through eruptions and disruptions below the earth as well. But in a world that's been shaped by it already, or maybe it's something that might happen in the near future, um, these lines in the rock could tell the ages and the events that happened, and the earth itself could be its own bits of knowledge that people can follow, maybe to safe locations. The idea that that you could look across the horizon and go, I want to get there, and there really isn't any flat ground to get from one place to another. You have to keep rising and falling and rising and falling in terms of locations, and um, getting from one place to another is never as easy as your high point would suggest. I think would be amazing as well. Also, no, I'm trying to find some other imagery here. I like the idea of like the thing you're never supposed to do, which is split the party. And I don't mean necessarily splitting the party into two different adventures, but what I mean is like just image wise, imagining the landscape. You've got some characters might be below others vertically, just traveling along the landscape, moving around pillar like mesas and rock formations, and easily being able to get lost in a maze of rock and earth. I'm going to go back to this image again. Sorry, I know I keep popping around and such, um, but yeah, I mean, just it. Sure, in the background here you can see a head, but it would be pretty easy for a bunch of adventurous and aggressive players to get ahead of the party, turn a corner, a maze-like corner, and be lost except for maybe an echo or distant voice or things like that. Oh, hey, thank you, Algo. Algobot. I appreciate that. I love having AI on my side. I hear you. I know the other features. So, but let's see if we can find some more. Let's see. Stern, Lucky. Ooh, here we go. There we go. Let's share this out instead. This is what here are some other rocky formations that I was thinking about. You always see these in the Western movies where the camera's very far away and you see the dust being kicked up as the horses or the wagon trains or whatever go across the dusty landscape, and you have these rocky formations and such. And maybe the safe havens in this world are located at the tops of these structures, the mesas, the plateaus. What are other names? Buttes, Butte. I think it's pronounced buttes. Uh, I don't think they're all butts. Um, Even the plant life that exists in these dry places, cacti and so on and so forth, are uniquely adapted. There are like land bridges and things like that over time. There's another classic Western picture: a railroad, a lonely rider with a horse, and then the plateaus in the background, and the dry landscape. Sometimes very like uh, you always have those variations of browns and sands and reds and siennas. Um, oh, there's some other colors I can't think of all of them off the top of my head. Um, Shai says the no splitting the party thing is so dumb. Totally breaks suspension of disbelief if you're always together all the time. Well, it is dumb, but there's math involved in it. So you don't and I've you can fall into the trap of of simulationism, which is like, oh, but in real life we wouldn't all be together. But the minute you divert attention from players that aren't involved, it's time stealing, right? If I've got four people at the table and all four of them are doing different things, then literally what I'm doing is I'm only spending 25% of my time with one person because I've got to spend my other 75% of my time splitting that between four other people. So to keep involved, everybody sticks together, and it does seem pretty ridiculous, right? Like, um, in television shows when you have like investigations, everybody splits up. You know, detectives go one way, and the lawyers go another way, and then the rescue team goes another way, and then it skips back and forth. But that's when you're writing a script, you have a television show or a book or a movie or something. When you're at the table and you're improving, and I've got to sit out because another player decided to drive around the corner to speak to somebody else, and I got to sit there and watch it. And if it takes too long, I'm out of the game. That's where the split the party comes in. It's not about realism. It's actually the opposite of realism. It's, hey, we all decided to be here for fun equally. So when someone decides to go off on their own, they're time thieves stealing time from other people who also want to be there and have fun. So that's why there's always an excuse to stick together. It's very meta, but it's the reality of playing a game, right? Um, it's not the real thing. It's a the impression of a real thing. Your party member goes to take a leak, earthquake splits the ground, PC falls in, perfect occasion to split the party. Yeah. We never take advantage of players going to the bathroom. That's a thing, right? Yeah. Um, that's a little meta too. Because whenever we take a break, we just assume that the characters are going to the bathroom, but we never get to see the bathrooms themselves. Like Star Trek and Star Wars. Although I think in both of them, at one point, they actually did show what a bathroom looks like, if I'm not mistaken. I think in both sci-fi series. Yeah. Let's see if I can find some land bridges here. Uh, Ooh, that's a nice little piece of artwork here. Um, AI generated artwork. Yep. Ooh, let's see if we can find any more. I also like these. This must be all like AI generated night cafe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's a lot of this stuff is giving you impressions of things that I'm thinking of. I think communication wise, the idea of using like the old style like smoke signals or Australian bull roarers. It's a swinging device that makes noise um, when swung through the air at different speeds and intensities. Birds flying through the air and using birds to communicate, send messages, and the circling of those avians, letting people know where something is. as well as the fact that circling avians would let people know maybe where there are like carrion birds and where there's death and destruction, um, or maybe even a place for you know rest, relaxation, water, an oasis in a uh, very dry, arid landscape. Now, of course, we're not necessarily talking um, about specific specifically deserts. I don't necessarily mean that the place needs to be desert like, but there could be pockets of foliage and growth and things like that, like down deep in more of the valleys, and they may be the best places to go for safety and well, not necessarily safe. So the best places to find nutrients for survival may be the most dangerous places because everyone and everything else is going to those same places, but the safest places may be the top of the range, the high parts, the top of the cliff, but they might be the most difficult to scramble to get to the top of. There may be some predators that patrol uh, the flatter ranges, maybe something very fast, or like in Tremors, something that burrows through the ground or has a very high camouflage ability. Maybe they have a rocky carapace that they use, or some other kind of predators. They're able to skitter around in the flatter landscapes. And so societies might grow up like in this picture of the far west, they have these three pillars and plateaus, and there could be societies built up on top and inside of these earthen mounds, but it's very dangerous for them to come outside, and they may have to send out scouts, i.e., adventurers, out to those regions to acquire resources, to trade, for communication, to fight off adversaries that want to get to and take over yet another safe haven that was already built by someone else. And I could see predators being so dangerous that strange bedfellows may come together to scramble up into these high reaches, even though two factions may hate each other. It's like we got to work together because we got to get to the other two plateaus because our food and water sources are running out, but but the predators are scrambling around, whether they are earthen worms, trapdoor spiders, sidewinder snakes. I'm trying to think of earthen things, giant scorpions, in any combination thereof of heck, maybe like cheetah-like monsters or something like that, scramble around near the dirt. Um, there may be a faction of aerialists, whether you're using like animals like griffins and other predatory birds that are large enough to carry people. There could be a type of does this show up? No. Uh, there could be some sort of hot air balloon or gliders or something that uses um, the what's it called when birds fly on heat trails, where's hot air, cold air, and they can use the fly on the thermals. That's it. And updrafts and things of that nature. And maybe there are devices that could be created, winged, you know, I don't know, ancient parachutists. I don't know what they would be called, gliders and whatnot to go. Maybe not very far in terms of like airplanes or something, but maybe to get from one region to another, and would be pretty interesting. Ooh, there's another piece of art. 18th century old west, far west, small town, stable diffusion, open art. See what you says simulacrum. You know what? Tremors was a tiny bit unreal, a tiny bit. It was completely unrealistic, but I loved it though. I mean, those are old. I haven't seen those movies, the Tremor movies, in a while. But yeah, I don't know. Are there any big burrowing? Let's take a look. Largest burrowing. Uh, Wow. I didn't really think about that. Wombat is one, but bears are another one. The largest burrowing animal is probably the polar bear when it makes its maternity den in snow or earth. Lizards are also known to construct and live in burrows and may exhibit territorial behavior over the burrows as well. Um, Polar bears dig maternity dens. These dens can be up to 10 feet long, 3 feet high, over 8 feet wide, so it's not very deep. The bare-nosed wombat is the world's largest burrowing mammal. Armadillos. All 20 species of armadillos burrow, including the giant armadillo, which can weigh up to 130 pounds, and the tiny pink fairy armadillo, which weighs around 4 ounces. Other animals that burrow include woodchucks, coyotes, badgers, shrew moles, penguins, and other pelagic seabirds. I hadn't thought about that. Because I guess because snow is something you would burrow into. Let's see if we get some images of any of these animals. Is that an art? It looks like an aardvark. I've seen an aardvark in a while. Like an Aarakocras. Begins with two A's. Hmm. A lot of these animals seem too cute to be dangerous, even though I know they're brutal. Mm-mm. What was the name of that television show? Mercat Mansion, something like that. Yeah, I don't think there's any massive. I don't think so. It's nothing like we think of in fantasy where they're just like making all these things. Yeah, I do agree. I'm with you on. Yeah, yeah, but I did love Tremors, borderline perfect fun movie. Oh yeah, it's beer and pretzel, order pizza and have fun and yell at the television kind of movie, right? It's just ridiculous. Roll your eyes and things like that. Oh yeah, yeah. those are fun movies. So, sometimes we don't give enough credit to like the fun ridiculousness of some of those movies back in like the 80s, early 90s. Uh, that's unfortunate. I um I think other things that may be included with world building in terms of like an earthen landscape type of world isn't just the communication, but the skills necessary. We could even break down like instead of just having a simple climbing skill, it may be necessary to have specific types of climbing gear or having verticality to our more dynamic environments, right? Like meaning there may be cliffside people who live on cliff sides and their havens are on the sides of cliffs and that's how they live. They live in a vertical world. And um, how dangerous it would be to have some kind of battle happening with verticality, right? Like the players need to ascend or descend a vertical region and you know, um, do spells and weapons have a different verticality to them? Like if I use a crossbow or throw a spear, does that limit the range I can throw it up, but then extend the range I can toss it down? Uh, Maybe the rules may or may not want to incorporate that, but we can have a discussion about that in a session zero. What about using a spell-like ability? Like if I fire a lightning bolt, does it have the exact same range directly upwards as downwards? A fireball? Uh, I don't know. Maybe if the spell has some kind of physicality to it, like I create an actual physical structure, is it possible for it to fall down? Like I want to create a wall of earth, and everyone's like, "Don't do that! It's vertically above us." And you're like, "Nah, don't worry about it. I'll anchor it into the to the cliff wall or something." And everyone's like, "Yeah, this isn't going to last. This is not a good idea." Um, Also, I love different vectors of threat in role playing games, meaning like other than hit points, what can you what becomes a threat vector? What do players need to protect? And of course, the granddaddy of them all, Dark Sun, is about water and nutrients are more valuable, even hell, even alloys, metals, and steels are more valuable than gold itself. And in this world, being having access to those nutrients, goods, and services and things may be necessary. So, like the players could work for or protect the community, and on their way back, they have to haul the things up through ropes and pulleys and things to get it up to the communities that are safe at the top of these plateaus. And the players are badass, but the people they're protecting aren't. And so when monsters that are roaming in these open plains and fields and things probably want to come by, bite the ropes off, and drag the food away, the players may need to go after them and get that food back. And I think that can make some really good stories, especially maybe the players need to get medicines or treaties and things like that. We see this so often in post-apocalyptic stories, and I think this kind of fits into that, where maybe the players group grows oranges, but they need medicinal care from another community that specializes in something else, and so the players may need to take and trade what they have with other people. Another community may not have the raw materials, but they're very good at processing those raw materials, turning ore into weapons and armor and tools. Maybe they are good at weaving or making inks and things like that. Um, Shai says, "Are earthquakes a big thing in Dark Sun?" I don't remember that. I don't think so. I know dust storms are. Hey, how about the day of the dust storm? Okay, we already did the Dust Bowl a long time ago. Never mind. Yeah, yeah. We did our whole day of series where we punched out a whole bunch of um day of something else, day of some, and we picked a prompt or whatever. But I think in Dark Sun, I don't believe it's earthquakes specifically. I think it's more dust devils, dust storms, sandstorms, and then local things like what's it called? Quicksand and silt. I think it's also called, because Dark Sun isn't necessarily a desert plain. It was created by arcane desolation, so it's more like ash and dust as well. I think if I had to make a comparison in what our world building is, I would add like rock slides, and I would add something a little bit more dynamic in terms of the earthquakes, because we know earthquakes aren't supposed to be earthquakes don't abide by our desire for drama in movies and whatnot, but in world building we can absolutely do that. So our earthquakes could have some other side effects, meaning earthquakes could break the land up or jut up into the sky, making a broken, ruptured, rocky mountain range that wasn't there before. It doesn't even need to be as high as mountains, right? But it could be, maybe there's a trade route that goes east-west. There was an earthquake, everyone's prepared for it, they kind of stop moving, and then when surveyors go back out to check the trade route, it could just be navigable with wheeled carts or something. Maybe it can be you could go over it if you have people take the backpacks, crawl over the broken rock. And then of course there's different types of rock, like I was talking about the striations in the rock. Maybe this stuff is maybe the rocky landscape is made of, I don't know what types of stone, granites and onyx and other rock that breaks in specific types of chunks, so it's not muddy. Maybe it's more like large boulderish kind of things that some of the larger, stronger races, or the ones that have an ability to maximize the strength of the community. They could move the boulders around, maybe making encampments or shallow caves and things of that nature. So yeah, definitely a lot of falling rock and then growing rock. I don't know. That's a weird way to say it, but there could be growing rock. Hell, you could even add monolithic crystalline rock that juts out of the earth itself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We could add something like that in there, as well as, I mean, of course, we talk about fantasy and magic and things of that nature. There could be something magical happening that is causing the earthquakes. In the Cold Fire trilogy, earthquakes were dangerous for magic, which they never actually used the word magic. They called it the Fae. But the the magic flowed in one direction, and it came from the highest points, like volcanoes and mountains, and flowed down into valleys. So if you were to touch the Fae, stand in it, and mind you, only regular human beings couldn't see it, but you had to turn your vision so that you could see the flow of it. And if you wanted your magic to go towards someone, you needed to be at the higher level so it would flow down and flow towards your enemy. But if you wanted to find information about your enemy, you wanted to be at the lower level, because wherever your enemy was standing, the Fae would flow from the high point low towards you, giving you information. So you were more perceptive low level, but you could be more proactive and evocative of causing more damage high level. And uh, so it gave it the stories gave it the stories gave it a bit of a strategy and tactics to it. So very cool. Drew says, "Great! Now I have an idea for a silt tsunami in Dark Sun." Yeah, I mean, remember, tsunamis are earthquakes underwater, and then it forces the shaking of the earth, causes the water above it to move, and then it creates a ripple. Now, yes, if you dropped a small stone in a pond, it makes a ripple, but a tsunami is a giant ass ripple, right? And so if we have large bodies of water and earthquakes happen, oh, definitely you'd have smashers that would come across land and such. And that's why the sky doesn't change for a tsunami, but the the water retreating back off of the beaches is one telltale sign, as it retreats off of the beach to be pulled up into this ripple that then smashes back into land and such. So it's horrible. Yeah, Shai says the day of rock slides, the day of erosion, where your $1 billion mansion on Martha's Vineyard falls into the sea, and you're the treasure hunters diving for the loot. Yep. Yeah, let's see if we can find some images of that. Oh damn, it already predicted it. Yeah, yeah. Let's get a really good. Let's get a real big house. I mean, we got to get a big one. Ooh, there's one on fire. Yeah, we've got to get one of these homes. Owners of Lake Whitney home on Crumbling Cliff talk about watching their house burn down. Yeah, yeah. The hubris involved in it. Oh, there's another picture of the home. I think before it just before it fell. It looks like the same home. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Luxury home clings to collapsing cliff. Yeah. Rich folks. It's so it's amazing how much it's just amazing how much um how reality bends the more money you have. I'm trying to look for another one here. That must be a very common one to happen. Texas house falling in a cliff. Yep, as it erodes away little by little. Too bad for you. It's hard to see it. Let me see if I can get it a little bigger. Let's do this. It's hard to see it. I'd have to go to the page. You make the swamp silty again. He's so silly. Oh no. I wonder if we could get a montage of video about it. Let's see if we get a montage. Uh, I'm sure somebody has it. Let's see. That's USA Today. They'll kick me for that. Sorry, just going to YouTube, seeing if there's anything like that, any clips or something like that. Because I don't want. Ooh, shit. A lot of this stuff is them falling into rivers, but mm-mm-mm. News reports. No, because the news reports ain't. How long ago was this? That's 6 months ago. That's too early. It's 4 years. Let's see if we get through this. Yeah, so here's some imagery, and yeah, you wouldn't want to live near collapsing locations and stuff. Wild, wild, wild. Yeah, no, thank you. And and I think in a world um, where this type of erosion is a commonality. I can imagine that. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Oh well. Yeah, I can imagine when there's that type of when it's that common, that it would be horrible to live in those places. Sorry, I didn't want to go on too long because you get YouTube stealing the kind of stuff. What channel was this from? From 4 years ago, from France 24 English. 3 million subscribers. Wow. Oh, okay. Well, wow. 3 million. This, I guess it's from France. Um, what are some other aspects I could see if we want to talk about more about culture and factions and other objectives in a world with earthquakes and such? Of course, any faction that can predict to any particular degree of certainty when the earth will shake and how it will, and directions and the outcomes of that will be absolutely valuable. Absolutely valuable. Um, though those individuals may be, um, I want to make a relationship with some real world things, and I mean to do this in a positive nature instead of negative. So I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. But people throughout history that have suffered from seizures and other bodily uncontrollable actions might be the valued individuals in this world as it relates to the earthquakes, because maybe their bodies are aligned with the tremors that are felt in the rest of the world. And so, instead of being cast aside or being thought that they're inhabited by demons and things of that nature and being air quotes useless to our community, maybe those individuals are absolutely needed. And so, yeah, the various types of uncontrolled seizure types behaviors might be something that's very valued in this world. And what a cool way to add a feature to like your spellcasters, your arcane types, that sure, you want to cast a spell like let me pick a classic one like a fireball or something like that, but instead of it coming from you, it comes from the ground. So maybe nearly all the spell effects have some kind of earthen relationship to it, whether it's volcanism, something released from the earth, whether it's like gases and things. Yes, we're relating back to volcanoes, but there may be other things related to it, like for example, a a instead of an animal familiar, maybe spells and their effects come from the different types of geological things found in the earth, like geodes and chunks of amethyst and lapis lazuli and turquoise and uh, amethyst and rose quartz and tiger's eye and hematite, whatever, on and on and on. We could make up a whole. Uh, shit, we could come up with whole. Let's see. How about a let's see, list of semi precious gemstones, and get some images here. Share this out here. Like for example, here's a. That's not a good one. I'm trying to find other things other than like. I want to find semi precious, not just the tumbled ones, but like some of the raw materials. There we go. Something like that. Like where these semi precious stones. And then let's share this out. Here we go. Some of these semi precious stones may be a uh, a direction, a guide as to what kinds of magic are available or how they are, or maybe depending on the kind of stone that someone has or holds or is on the top of their staff or floats around their shoulder or whatever, like iron stones from Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe it is a filter for the magic. So you still have your own capabilities, but they are filtered through the stones, which changes or shapes them or something like that. Almost like the old classic third edition and 3.5, etc., from like meta magics, where each stone is a specific type of meta magic. One stone lets you cast spells very far away. Another stone lets you cast them very subtly. Some maybe allow you to cast them quicker than others. Uh, and of course, all of these could be very limited use. It's not like you grab a stone of rose quartz or tiger's eye or something and you keep it forever. Maybe they turn gray or something after a while, or maybe they're one shotters. Hey, I found one, great, yeah, you get to use it once and that's it. They could also be safety valves, right? Like, hey, we need this stone to go through this region so that the region that we are in won't suffer an earthquake, even though we know earthquakes are very common through this place. Of course, walking across very fragile, thin landscapes might be a thing in terms of walking across a fragile landscape and the chances of the ground breaking beneath your feet and falling through a crevice, or the ground shaking, or maybe there are tall pillars with eroded stones at the top, and navigating around the bottom part of the pillars. Maybe the stones precariously balanced at the top might shift and shake in an earthquake and fall down. Um, Whole communities that could get wiped out, and the players are picking through the pieces of these communities because they were wiped out from an a rock slide, and now the once bowl like valley is open to everyone, and raiders are able to get in, and survivors are trying to escape, or something like that. I think you come up with a lot of different types of landscapes, especially in this. Especially if we think of the different types of earth that are out there. So more big, giant, boulderish kind of things. Maybe there are. It falls in line with the idea of an open air dungeon, with players having to dip and dive and duck beneath giant stone slabs, and they're going from like dark passageways out into the open, crawling over a thing, needing to duck down, crawl, climb, crawl, slide, because the rock is tilted from one direction to the other. I'm just imagining all kinds of angles and positioning of large stone, whereas the more pebble like crumbling stone might be more closely related to like landslides and um, not just pebbles. What am I thinking of? Gravel and hard to climb hills of gravel and salt and things like that, where it's difficult to climb up but easy to get yourself knocked down. Heck, being knocked prone might be the worst thing in the world, because if you get knocked prone, you're automatically going to slide like 30 to 60 feet down below the ridge line and have to make your way right back up again, like a sand dune, like stumbling down a sand dune. What else? Oh, deep crevices could fill with gravel as well if you have different types of um, earthen textures. They could fill with soft earth, rock, mud, terracotta style things could crumble down into crevices. Players could fall down into natural pits in the earth, and instead of your classic 10-foot pit that falls and is just flat, someone could fall down between a crevice and it's very narrow and get like an arm or a leg or ankle or their chest jammed in the rock and difficult to pull yourself up. The movie 127 Hours was based on that, where a gentleman had to remove his own hand, I believe, with a pocket knife, just to get out of a place because rain was coming in and he was dehydrating and his hand was stuck in the rock. And instead of dying and drowning, being in the flood, he had to unfortunately saw off his own hand with a very dull instrument. It's pretty nasty, but this is a real life. This was a real life event. Um, what else? There was. I could see this type of world being a combination of camouflage, wearing earthen clothing that has been stained to look like the earth, cloaks that are like that look like broken leather, and if you pull the cloak over you, you just look like a stone. I'm referencing you there, one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and the elven cloak that the hobbits pulled over themselves to look like a boulder. But there may also be the opposite, where bright colors are important to be recognized from long distances. Heck, even kites might be a way of communication. Uh, to get a kite into the air, because if you're down below in one of these tight crevices and you're trying to navigate through this maze, no one can see you, but you do also want to communicate and let people know where you're at. So sending a bright colored kite up into the sky might let your allies know where you are and your enemies follow you as well. Uh, thumping on the ground may be a way of communication. Using hammers and stones and knocking them together and knocking against rocky walls may send vibrations so that other people can hear them. Sending a warning or a welcome, or like in Dune, drawing those giant sandworms towards you with the thumpers and things like that. I could see that being a part of a culture in this world. The stacking of stones, stacked. Uh, Here we go. There are people who artistically stack stones all the time, and so the stacking of stones may be a way of communication or honor, like a monument, even if it's temporary. Or the stones could have been um, taken from many different locations, brought together. A stone may be given to other strangers as a sign of good faith or honor, because of how much loss there could be because of all the earthquakes and such. So yeah, that may be a thing. Heck, it may be a sign of like using the stones to build walls and structures and such. And by you adding a stone, it is a symbolism of you being loyal to these people, or having at least a temporary treaty with someone to say that, hey, even we brought our stone to build your walls and build your structures and such. So it could be um, a method. It may be a memorial of some sort. Every single person carries a stone. They rub it with their finger. It reminds them of a place when something bad or joyous happened, and they gather the stones in small little pouches, little small things, nothing real big, but they know each stone has a story, and those stories could actually hold power. Someone steals your stone, they can almost read your memories of past events, but it may also mean that these are landscaping stones. I see how the landscaping stones are done as well. Um, Heck, those landscaping stones, like these landscaping stone walls or something like that, could be a real thing in this world. So it may be easy to scale, but they could have like a verticality to them. Maybe those stones could actually be pulled out or something like that, removed from walls and other places. Um, I could imagine arcane wise going to these standing stones and drawing power from them, but also being obligated to honor the reason why it was created, almost like elementals or spirits, but kind of a combination of both. Where yes, you can draw power, but I don't know. I never played Operation Overkill. Nope, nope, nope. Um, why am I not showing these? Oh shit! Maybe I should have done that. Or there we go. Here we go. Let's do it this way. Um, Here we go. Stacking stones. Maybe these stacking standing stones are a warning to players. They could be a not just a warning, but a guide to go north and head up to this place, or you are not welcome here, or we are in mourning at this very moment, or our society doesn't exist anymore, and here's why, uh, kind of thing. Yep, yep, yep. It could be a very, ooh, there's a skill. Uh, you know, these rocky gardens may also be ways to um, absolve a community from the harsher elements. So as long as the rocky thing stands, the earthquake stay away. But as we all know, nature is more powerful than anything. And the minute the stacking stones fall over, now trouble happens or whatnot. But you're not allowed to like artificially keep them up. Maybe maybe the earthen spirits are pleased with how and why someone stacks their stones, and so therefore they are. It's like a little gift to the earthen spirits and such. I could see reshaping, reflavoring, reusing, repurposing a lot of the monsters that we're normally used to, like aquatic monsters and flying monsters and things like that, and just make them earthen like. So, like for example, a classic giant stingray, right? We normally look underwater and we see the stingray swimming through water, but maybe like there are stingrays that can like swim across the surface level of stone and rock and earth, or they um they float on thermals no more than like waist high to a human above the earth itself, and they kind of float above the earth almost like a hovercraft of some sort. And they're the top surface of their body is earthen, but the underside of their body could be like that bone white that stingrays have. What are some other creatures or monsters? um okay, maybe there are predatory monsters like a displacer beast or saber-toothed tigers or something like that. And again, they are camouflaged from the earth because of the skin on their back, which could literally have plates of earth and metal, or maybe they secrete a kind of a glue and they roll around in the dirt, like you'll see them in the from a distance with a spyglass or something on a tall plateau, and the predatory animals are like um, moving around in the dirt because they have like a adhesive on their backs, so that every time they go from region to region, they get a little bit of the camouflage on their bodies. But but also it may be useful in terms of travelers, using that on their cloaks so that they have a little bit of the same stuff on their clothing so that they can kind of turn into a ball or take the cloak and pull it around them and duck down and hide in the environment. It would be pretty interesting for like a a um, a dangerous predator or whatever herd animal or something like that that's very very dangerous that operates in the dozens or hundreds or even thousands, hundreds of thousands, that roams across the landscape, and the players physically could never defeat all of it. It would just get crushed by them or eaten or devoured, but they might have to remain hidden as part of the landscape as these things like uh, flow around and over top of the player characters, hiding out in the open fields, and hoping that the herd passes over, while at the same time maybe they're being hunted or spotted from the air or something like that. Someone's hunting for them. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be those are- yeah, yeah. Classic giant stingrays are real. Well, yeah, they are. I just don't think they float. They don't breathe air and float over broken earth. But yeah, yeah. But stingrays. What are some other features? I don't know. We've gone to a little bit too long here. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Next week, we will get into Obsidian Star. I do have the document for Obsidian Star, which is the science fiction game I've been working on. Um, the I had to go back to square one with some of the numerology and things like that. Maybe I might give you a sneak peek. I had to trash the old character sheet. I didn't trash it. I still have it, but I'm going to have to start from ground one again. No big deal. It happens when you're trying to be creative, but that's the thing that what the hell. That's the thing that happens, right? Um, so yeah, it's I wanted to make it a little bit more approachable and it for a science fiction game it's got quite a bit of open-endedness and yeah, everything's related to it that it used to be. Our own post-humanism, transhumanism, our own solar system, high science fiction, a trillion souls living in plus living in our own solar system, um, uh, hunting for data cores, things like that. Yeah, all that stuff is still there in the game. In the setting is still the same. Still trying to figure out all the jackets that are available. Remember, zips are the brains, zippers are the brain, jackets are the body. Uh, Zips are zippers like zip drive or thumb drives, and then jackets, bodies that you zip into. Like I have a little zippy thing on that I'm wearing today. Got a topic for tomorrow? No, I do not. If you want to drop one in, I don't mind. It's got to be weather, geologically related, like natural environment related. I was going to pick something strange, like maybe eternal daylight or um, Brandon Sanderson already took the hurricane idea that the sweeping winds, but I'll take anything. To be honest with you, you guys, you already know. You know. Other people may not know, but you guys know. Yep. The um, the layout for the new rules, I've been trying to use a programming called Affinity. It was actually gifted to me by someone um, that I cherish the gift given to me. It's a very expensive pollen in paradise. Um, exactly, sunshine all the time. Uh, the gift of the program Affinity that was given to me, very expensive program. I still have to learn how to use it. I'm still playing with all of it. Yeah, allergic reaction to pollen dust in the atmosphere. Maybe I might do that one if you agree to it. You know I don't like to overthink it too much. Don't want to overthink it too much. And so yeah. Matter of fact, you know what? Hell, why don't I do it? So let's see if we can find um, the doc. What's the name of it? Copernican system. So yeah, this is the Obsidian Star document right here. 2D6 Art and Science Tabletop RPG, and it just goes through. It's very very basic, meaning like you're. I mean, there is. I did import some artwork into to this, so let's see if we can get some of it. There's some artwork right here. It's royalty free and not AI generated, which is something that was in the old document that I still have. And I understand the arguments against using AI, especially if you're, um, even though I'm doing something for free. But where's some other art imagery? There we go. So yeah, something like that. Martian. Yep, 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 yep. I do have a couple unique features in the game. Yeah. It is weather related. Okay, so tomorrow is going to be eternal sunshine. Sunshine? Sunshine. Maybe I'll capitalize that part. Yep, yep, yep. We'll do eternal sunshine tomorrow. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So before we get out of here, uh, remember I talked about orbits, like time. So it is a time is a character score on your character sheet. It's a stat, and let's see if I can just. I'm going to read this out and see if it makes sense to any of you. Time. Special note for time. Time is like hit points for, well, time. Instead of measuring specific increments of the passage of moments, minutes, hours, or days, time, and I'm going to when I emphasize time, it's capital T. Time is a score the player will sacrifice to complete a goal in a timely manner. When a star asks if there is enough time or the admin says a task requires time, the player can opt to sacrifice a point of time. Want to hack into a secure mainframe? Costs a point of time. Want to hit the thrusters emerge into the trade lanes around Saturn? Sacrifice time. Want to slide between closing blast doors? Mark off a point of time. Space travel always costs time. When time runs out, the star is besieged with every manner of events that stack together, converging at once in the star's life. Old debts, rivals, promises, broken gadgets, late arrivals, and more. Set an explosive, doesn't go off as planned. Trying to find a safe haven, not enough time to rest. So time is a stat like energy and resources. And you guys have always heard me talk about time, energy, and resources. Um, Eternal stench of the full plate palette, sitting there baking in the sun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll do that. I don't. Now we could go full desert with eternal sunshine, but I don't think we need to go full. I don't think we need to go full desert dark sun ish with it, but we could get close to it. We could get close. I love the idea of like there's nothing but like flowing flowers and pollen. And the paladin like, dude, you someone needs to grab you by an ankle and dip you in some cleaning fluid because you smell. But yeah, this is just one feature. I think this document is how many pages? 14 pages. And there are a number. Let me see if I can get you some tables. Let's show off some tables. Um, so characters get to pick. This is very quick. Characters get to pick three methods and three actions. Methods are basically your adverbs. Methods, use the table below. Pick three, roll randomly if you prefer. Methods are adverbs. Methods, adverbs express manner, place, time, frequency, degree, or level of certainty. And yeah, they answer questions such as how, in what way, when, where, to what extent, why, or under what conditions. They're often recognized by the suffix ly at the end. And so you get to pick three of these and then you match them with three actions. So you get three methods and three actions and you match them together. Instead of a skill based system, you have a method and action based system. Essentially, you're saying how you're doing something and what you're doing it with, like how you're doing something, what action you want to take, and you mix and match them together. So, according to this, let me see, can I get this even bigger? Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, that's just an example of the differences in the game and such. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Like I said, next week we'll delve more into Obsidian Star, and I will make a link so people have access to the document. It still is undergoing. I mean, I've done the spell checking. I've done I've perused it a number of times. I had to go back and redo the math involved in it and things like that. But yeah, yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Should put a note in here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Why isn't it typing for me? Come on. Let's get physical. Physical. We wanna get mental. Body talk. I guess I should identify many of these. Come on, slide down. There we go. These are shit. These are actions. You get to pick three actions. And then through character progression, there's lateral progression. You can exchange or find new ones. So these are actions and things. So you could be like, so if you pick some of these actions like disarm or threaten, disable, trick, intercept, bypass, sabotage, you just describe what you're trying to do. And then you mix what you're trying to do. Are you trying to infiltrate or acquire something? Are you trying to assault or wreck something? Are you trying to guard or provoke, entice or modify? And then how are you doing it? Are you doing it um, violently or quietly? Actually, I just think saw two that need to be changed. But anyway, essentially that's what it is. So, and there's more stuff than that. Great show, really? Because I think I sucked most of the time. I always wish I was better than the day before, which would make me incrementally reach perfection. So I really appreciate that, guys. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Also, if you guys have any other ideas, so after Obsidian Star next week, we go for other things. Hell, we could bring back the Day of series. I don't think it's necessary to do that, but we can do something like that. I love world building. I wanted to go back to world building as well. The Cosmere RPG that raised over $14 million really impressed me, and so it sparked some creative influences as well. And you're good enough for the Algobot to stay to the end. Yeah. Well, thank you there, AI. I really appreciate it. We'll talk about AI systems and mechons and autons and the AG and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to give you any context as to what any of that means. But yeah, we'll talk about Homo sapiens and all that kind of stuff coming up next week. If you remember, you do, when I did my little series of Obsidian Star. If you don't know, stay tuned. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I hope that you guys spending your valuable time here, in return, I can make change for your tabletop role playing experiences. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. All right, tomorrow's our last day. So, guys, have a great one. We'll talk about Eternal Sunshine, not necessarily like the movie that has a continuation of that title, but we'll talk about Eternal Sunshine tomorrow. and the horrors it can bring. I'm already thinking of some pretty horrible things. Guys, have a great one. See, oh, somebody dropped one last comment. Always doing that. Week after next, weather in Obsidian Star. There's some weather events. Well, there are. It ain't weather, but it's hazards. I used to. Side note: I used to joke about with my wife and I because we talked about whether we would ever want to live in California, and I said I hate the weather because the traffic's too bad, and she gets it, of course, now. But at the time, it was like weather. Traffic isn't weather, and I'm like, if it's that bad and eternal, it's weather to me, right? Like some things are so bad that it is weather. So debris fields and things like that. What's it called? Kessler syndrome in deep space to, is just as dangerous and a a side effect of a natural problem as anything else. Still got to deal with it. Still scary, right? So yeah, solar storms are a real thing, and so are debris fields from battle. For those who don't know, an Obsidian Star, space battles are like the worst thing in the world you'd ever want to do. It's like 95% piracy. Um, Dumping dead bodies and dumping victims out into space is not the thing you want to do. Firearms in spaceships are not the thing you want to do. So we're embracing quite a bit of hard sci-fi for Obsidian Star. So, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility.